Well, hello friends, my name is Pastor William. In this particular segment, we're going to be able to address some questions that are asked by, a lot of people that I meet. And they want to be able to understand a few things about the Bible. And this segment is dedicated to them and also some African spiritualists who want to be able to be converted to Christianity but really don't understand the whole issue of the Bible and how it came to be. So this next 5 videos are meant to assist them so they can be able to understand the historicity and the inspiration of particular things attaining to the Bible. A lot of things in history go unquestioned and undebated. But when it comes to religious studies or religion or things that are inspired by the Holy Spirit, then we question. And one of the most famous questions that we have come across is, who wrote the Bible? You see, African spiritualists, they come through with their own view that, hey, Shakespeare got involved when it came to the writing of the Bible. But when you look at the datings of when he was born and when he died, you realize that the Bible is older than him. But when you look at the Bible as a nutshell, you see it as a brand. So now people think that the brand started after him and therefore he wrote the Bible so that the Bible can be used to put people into subjugation. So it's still really bad to differ and takes us back to the question, who wrote the Bible? Because when we look at his lifespan, when we look at when he lived and when he died, we begin to realize that he didn't write the Bible. When we look at the canonization of the Bible, realize that the English didn't write the Bible. When we look at the scrolls, we realize that, hey, the Bible is not a European document that is used to put people into slavery or colonize countries, but the Bible is a spiritual book that was inspired by God. But now that doesn't answer the question. So when we study, we realize that Christianity actually came from Judaism, right? So having come from Judaism, there are so many things that we are taking from Judaism, the traditions and the culture and the approach of worship and serving the one true God. And one of the things that we take is the scrolls. That's why we talk about the likes of Moses. That's why we talk about the likes of the patriarchs. That's why we talk about the likes of the prophets, right? Because having come from Judaism, then now we taking its history as a basis of Christianity, because Jesus in reality was not Christian. Jesus was a Jew, and Jesus followed the principles and the teachings and the culture of Judaism. So then that says to us that in order for us to be able to understand where Christianity comes from, we look at Jesus. And when we look at Jesus, we find Judaism. And now that's why we are still using the Old Testament, for a lack of a better word, to be able to understand the historicity of the Messiah and be able to understand the historicity of God, the Creator, and be able to understand how it applies to us today. And now the in-between, how it applies, we come to the New Testament. And now the New Testament was written predominantly by the people that have encountered Jesus. We're talking about Paul. We're talking about Peter. We're talking about Mark. We're talking about Luke did not encounter Jesus Christ, nor did he see Jesus Christ, but he made a research. So we talk about predominantly the people that have encountered Jesus or lived in Jesus' time. And so the Bible was written by those people. Bear ye in mind, the likes of Luke were not inspired by the Holy Spirit to write, but then he was paid by Theophilus to be able to make a research and come back and give his findings. We look at the likes of John. John, when he wrote his book, he was not inspired, but then now inspired by the Holy Spirit. But when he wrote the book, he was writing it to address a certain question. And when we look at the likes of Matthew was not inspired, but he was addressing the question of the Messiah. So all these people, they were addressing different topics and different questions in their times, right? The epistles, the gospels, the synoptic and non-synoptic gospels. So they were addressing a particular topic. So the Bible in the New Testament was written by people that really encountered Jesus Christ. So that's why we say that it was inspired by the Holy Spirit, because when you look at the flowetry, the blending of thought with the Old Testament or the scrolls, you realize that the thought is the same. It speaks about the coming of the Messiah and the salvation that will come through, and now it has come in our time. So who wrote the Bible? The Bible was written by the prophets in the Old Testament. It was written by, in the New Testament, the apostles. That's why the foundation of the doctrine is based upon the experiences of the prophets and the apostles. So that's who wrote the Bible. Well, thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, comment down below. I have released a compilation of thoughts. I want you to be able to buy, check it out. It's called Why Africans Hate Jesus Christ, African Spirituality versus Christianity. Make sure that you buy it so that you can be able to learn a thing or two regarding our history. Thank you so much.